Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
So welcome back, you guys. It's your girl Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat.
Hey Moni.
You look fabulous.
Thanks to you. It was much more of a struggle bus on 4 flat situation earlier, but now it's fabulous with the power of fashion.
And you look amazing. And listen, we are wearing our fascinators today. If you're not familiar with what those are, it's those fancy little hats that the ladies wear to the tee that has like the netting and flowers and feathers. And it just adds a dab of fabulousness to your wardrobe. So we just needed something, man. We had to honor the author of our book today because he is, honestly, he's synonymous with fashion. Like I felt like I couldn't just show up being regular. So he gave me the strength, and then you saw my fascinator, and then it gave you the strength. And that's the power of fashion, as you said. So
yeah.
This is exciting.
And I don't want to be left out.
No, absolutely not. So honestly, this fascinator actually gave me the power to for a couple of powers. I told you I had to put this on because I couldn't look as tired as my day was, basically. So I think this kind of helps. And then I was like, well, I need lipstick, and I need something. I need some sparkles, some zhuzh, something.
It's definitely better than when people are like, oh, you look tired. I'm like, why tell me that? Who does that help?
And bitch, I already know that. And so, like, are we just calling out the stuff that looks ugly on each other? Because I've got notes. But now
just general advice to everybody. Because sometimes you might see a woman and just be like, ooh, you look tired. And just know that that's the last thing that a tired woman needs to hear.
Yeah, keep it to yourself because it might be true and it's not like you're lying or anything, but also who needs that? It doesn't help, okay?
Just be like, just lie. Be like, you look terrific. And then she might smile and look better.
Or buy her a fascinator. Boom. Problem solved.
Or take a little work off her plate. Whatever.
Or that. That's the real gag. Okay, guys, but we're not here to talk about all of that. We are here to talk about the Andre Leon Talley. So here's a little synopsis of the book. Andre Leon Talley's Chiffon Trenches is a memoir that delves into the life and career of the esteemed fashion journalist and former editor-at-large of Vogue magazine. The book chronicles Talley's journey from his childhood in the segregated South to becoming a prominent figure in the fashion industry. How fucking fabulous. I love it. I'm here for it.
It was almost unbelievable. Because, like, definitely. Really, who does that?
Stranger than fiction.
I mean, to me, his story's just always been so impressive. So
I love it. Well, I'm here for it today, friend. I don't know about you. So I think we should dedicate the episode so we can jump right into the content today. So you guys, if you don't mind, hands over your hearts. We want to thank our patrons as usual. You guys are the actual and literal best. Thank you so much for all of your continued support. Also, I want to dedicate, you know what? I'm just going to dedicate this episode to my mom because she made this fabulous fascinator, actually. I would never actually have one of these probably just for no reason at my house, but I needed one. She provided one and I still have it. And I'm able to look fabulous because of her on a lot of levels. So thank you, Mom. What about you, friend?
Yes, and I want to dedicate this to medical professionals. I've had to spend some time caretaking for a relative, and it wasn't like bad or anything, but it is just such a specific type of work that for people who do day in and day out, I mean, just hats off to you. Just all the schooling and all the, and it's just it's something that we just take for granted. Like if I hurt myself, I know that there's several places I can go that have educated professionals who can help fix me.
Yeah.
And like throughout human history, that hasn't always been a thing. So I just really want to express my appreciation for that. This one's going out for all the medical nerds.
I like it. All right. So dedication over, friend?
Dedication over. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. I definitely have to yes and that too. But you guys, This memoir is pretty dynamic, and I kind of want to. I know Kat has like a little bit of a breakdown of the author.
Andre Leon Talley was born October 16th, 1948 in Washington, D.C. He's an American fashion journalist, stylist, creative director, and editor-at-large of Vogue magazine. And he was the magazine's first African-American male creative director. And he died January 18th, 2022.
Aww.
Yeah.
Damn. So he was 73 when he passed?
Yes.
You said?
Yes. And I mean, what a life.
So
a lot of people recognize him from the Sex and the City movie because he was in the scene where Carrie was getting ready. It was that Vivienne Westwood wedding dress, I think. Was it Vivienne Westwood or Alexander McQueen?
I could Google it.
Yeah. Anyway, when she was modeling that and that, he'll get up, he did a cameo. And he said like that's what he gets mostly recognized for.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But that makes sense though, because I think sometimes, like especially if you're not a fashion gal, like
if you're not a fashion nerd,
you wouldn't know.
You can miss it. He had a spot on Oprah too, though. Because I feel like that's when he really came on my radar. What's really interesting is the fact that he's just always kind of been on my radar. Like I've had a subscription to Vogue since I was like 12. And I didn't know it, but like he was speaking to me through the covers of those books, like that's through crazy. The magazine, like not just me, of course, but he was basically, I think he could be described as a genius visual communicator.
I definitely think so. If you've seen him once, then it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about, because usually when you're talking about fashion, you're not picturing like a 6'6" black, a tall, large man. You know what I'm saying? Southern man. With who speaks impeccable French, which I thought I was pretty fascinated to learn that. I thought he was just knew some French words or something. Like I didn't realize he was fluent and actually like had a whole degree. Super impressive. And it was Vivienne Westwood, your first.
Oh, okay, I didn't have to catch it. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, he is pretty iconic. Now, the first time I remember seeing him was in America's Next Top Model. Because again, I was not. If I had seen him before, he wasn't on my radar. But his personality and like what he actually did, like seeing him and then knowing also what he did, that was my first time, because I was like, whoa, who is this? Because he's hilarious. Okay,
there's no one like him. He's very singular, like one of one. Yes. And I actually have of course we did the audio book. Yes, but I also have a physical copy of the book as well, because there's pictures and his language, of course he's a journalist, so he's good with words, but his descriptions of the fashion were so lush, like it just put me there.
I was struck by his memory. He was also like how you were. Obviously he went a little bit harder, but but he was like, I know that this was from 19 whatever, this came from this shoot in this month. Like I remember her because she was wearing the black boots that came up to the knee with the little gold buttons on the details that this man remembered. I was like, yo, he's not playing with y'all. He can't.
No,
he's here to slay.
I guess when you, because it's to be fair to me, he didn't have no kids. I think I'd be way more of a fashion nerd if I hadn't had kids.
And it sounds like people supported his decision mostly, like his grandma did anyway, as far as him going off to school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know did you feel like people were like throwing themselves into supporting your artistic endeavors if it was that?
No.
Right. So I think that the fact that you didn't have kids and he had like that. And he was like a savant, if you will. Like he knew everything there was to know. Like, so not only was he just like enamored with fashion, but he knew everything about it.
Well, he said he got a lot of that from his mom. I thought she was a very interesting character in the book, because he wasn't really raised by his mom.
He was not.
He was raised by his grandmother. It sounds like he had a very, very tense relationship with his mother. who it sounds like didn't recover from sort of being spurned.
That was really fucking weird. Can you say that little story real quick?
They were well-to-do Black people in the South. And so his mother married his father, and they were, it sounds like content enough, but his mother fell in love with an even more well-to-do Black man.
Bigger fascinators, obviously.
Yeah. And so she was like, let me just move on up in the world. And so she divorced her current husband to marry this other guy. But it sounds like the way the timing worked out, like the day after she divorced Andre's daddy, she got a invitation in the mail for the new dude's wedding to a younger woman.
Bye. That's what you get.
That is what you get.
Bitch, you grass ain't greener, hoe. You should have just stayed where you was at.
We were speaking earlier about 8Ball and MJG, and they would have told you stop playing games. You playing games. Stop playing games,
hoe. That's exactly
you playing games. Yeah,
definitely.
Especially because it sounds like the grass. Yeah, the grass wasn't greener, and not always, but someone who's willing to sleep with you while you're still married to another person might not have the most upright moral character and might deal you doubly.
Well, wait. Oh yeah, so she was married. I'm like, he wasn't married though. But that's, I honestly.
But he knew she was married.
Right. I had to get there for you.
He was to make sure he was playing the game, and like I said, and he played it all the way up, and that is brutal. I've heard stories like that before too, where women end up finding out. Oh, that was actually in Sex and the City a little bit when Carrie finds out Big is marrying Natasha.
Oh yeah, younger, the whole thing, and it's like, so not necessarily Carrie's thing, but like as far as his mom and stuff goes, it's like, you were leaving somebody to get the thing about a man that you feel like is the best part, which is clearly not anything about the actual person. It's the money, it's the status. And so guess what he turned around and did? He did the same shit as you, but in reverse. And it's like, no, actually, I'll take one about 10 years younger than you. We're going to trade you in. So, I don't know. I feel like that's fair game. But like the fact that you fell apart after that, now you just are a shitty mom. And now you're just basically giving your kid to your mom to raise because you're sad because some nigga left you that you didn't want.
And he even observed that the mom was kind of mad at the grandma for doing that.
It's like, fuck out of here. I didn't like his mom. Again, he didn't talk that much about it, but I just thought, ugh.
Well, even at the end, it was super sad because he kind of made the decision to be like, you know what, it's probably healthiest for me to not pursue a relationship with this person, which can be really hard with parental stuff, but it was probably the right move. And then like a friend of his was like, no, you need to reach out, that's your mom. And it's like, man, don't tell people, you don't know what's going on with people's situations.
He tried.
And she's like, I'm a mom, trust me, she'd want to know. And then he calls her and she doesn't take his call. So it's kind of like, ooh, and then the friend was like, oh, let me shut up.
You mean well, but again, like you say, you don't really know, what they're going through. But like, so when you think about his upbringing, that Southern church sort of background that he comes from, do you think that it influenced the way that he handled himself, like in his life, like when it comes to, like I noticed in the book that he seemed to, I don't know, like seemed like he had superficial relationships with almost everybody. Like, I think that there was affection there, but it's like, I don't know that he ever now, but other than he as much says it, like he had a really close relationship with his grandma and then Mrs. Vreeland. Like those were the two women that he felt like that truly loved him 100%. But outside of that, it was like, it nurtured him. And it's like, I feel like it was really sad to me because I feel like his background kept him repressed in so many ways, whether it was like him expressing himself, or just not requiring from other people what he was giving,
I think there was a lot of maybe, well, for one, I think him growing up, like the church culture stuff, I think he might have gotten a lot of the fashion from that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, there's something about maybe not modern church, but definitely old school church where
Old black church was
fashion.
real fancy. Don't play
Yeah,
with
once
me.
again, like we're wearing fascinators.
Don't play with
It's like
me.
I mean, they
Hello.
say come as you are, but nah,
Don't you better not.
come correct.
You fucking better not. Okay.
So I think there was that. I think yeah, because I think that was because he talks about that, like kind of regretting not forming more substantial relationships in his life, not like having romantic love, because that's what was really sad too, because we keep like this was a theme in the last memoir of sexual assault and racism. Like it seems like those two just always pop up.
Yeah, birds of a
I need to
feather.
turn them into mascots, to little fab mascots. Like,
Oh no!
it's like, oh look, it's sexual assault Sam, and
It's like, get out of here,
and Ricky racism.
Oh,
Get out of here,
Ricky,
you guys!
Get out of here,
Get here, Ricky.
Ricky's the worst, man.
He is.
Yeah, just messy.
Just always popping up.
I agree with you. I think that like church seemed to influence literally every aspect of his life, from his fashion choices, because I mean he was even like, they showed a picture even on his now I don't know if they show that in the book, in the printed book, but there's also it's a different piece of art that he made, like a what was the name of his documentary that was on Netflix? Do you remember?
Andre?
Uh-huh.
He had one on that. Was it called the Chiffon
You're the one who
Trenches?
told me about it. Yeah,
I was wrong because I thought it was on Prime. I was looking for it earlier and couldn't find it. I know he has some kind of documentary. It might not be called the Chiffon Trenches.
It's not. It's not. Okay, in 2017, The Gospel According to Andre.
That was
Yes.
it. What was that on?
That one was on. It's on Hulu now, and
Oh, okay.
it switches up, so I don't know. You can watch it on Hulu right now though. But anywho, I just feel like he was influenced by the fashion, but then also it just seems like his emotional, like the way that he coped with things had a lot to do with that too. Because he even talked about like as he got older, like therapy and stuff, and he was just like, man, he shied away from it for the longest because he's like, I just grew up like, you get over it, like you just push that shit down, you don't talk about the abuse, you eat your feelings,
and then you eat a tray of banana pudding,
macaroons or whatever the fuck you're into, and you just keep it pushing. And so I feel like he endured a lot of his personal issues and never really wanted to face them. Like I think that there's a certain amount of repression in like I don't want to say like in religion, but I think it breeds that sometimes. Now maybe not all of them, but I think that like because it's like it's about the image, right? Like a lot of what he did was just about his image, and it's like as long as I look the part, I can put on a brave face and keep it pushing. And I think eventually that's why because he talked a lot about his eating issues. Same thing with our last memoir with Carrie, just the binge eating and him knowing that it was an emotional thing. Like he equated it to his grandma and her cooking for him, and like that's how he found comfort and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know, I just felt like these seem like he never really developed really great coping mechanisms from the time he was young.
because did we mention he was gay?
I don't think we have to. If y'all seen him,
But I'm just saying, like when you talk about how he was guarded because we were talking about controlling. Like part of church culture is you can't be gay. At least Southern,
you can be gay if you're the minister of music, as long as you just sing your song and you don't talk about the facts.
But you can't bring your partner in and like be all. You can't be.
You can entertain us, and you can bring the fashion, and you can bring the drama. We will receive it,
the flamboyance.
He got this. He said he had this blue military coat with these brass buttons that went all the way down to the floor. Super fucking dramatic. He was like, I was so into this coat, loved this coat. Was gonna wear it to church on Sunday, and we're getting ready to walk into the church with my mom, and she was like, I'm not going in here with you. We are not walking in together with you wearing that fucking thing. Like, you are not about to embarrass me. And he was like, well, you go ahead and I'll come in after you because I'm still wearing my coat. Okay. So I love that for him, but I hated that for him too, because it's like at the doors of the church, your parents will leave you there when they're so much more dedicated to putting on the show the fashion show of showing up as this perfect Christian person. And it's like, you as my queer child in this coat is like tarnishing my good standing here in this church. And I feel like that
it reminded me a little bit of the Secret Life of Church Ladies, where the story of how to date a physicist, or
how to date a physicist. It was how to love or make love
to a physicist. I think that was it.
Something nasty with a physicist.
Getting it on with a physicist. And so, like, she was talking about how when she was like getting, when she was trying to find more self-love things, she stopped wearing a girdle. And her mom was like, please don't come to church again without a girdle. And she was like, Mom, I promise I will not come to church again without a girdle. But she just fulfilled that promise by just not going to church.
Not going. Right. Well, you have to at least tuck your booty in and hold in your stomach then. Like,
it's like, don't be jiggling in the Lord's house.
And do it. You can't.
It's like he made all that so that you could just stiffen it up.
Yeah. You gotta you gotta wrap that shit up, yo. It's it's dangerous.
It's like he made it, but he also finds it deeply offensive
to everyone.
So yeah, that was an interesting. Once again, I think he's very good at painting these contrasts without outright saying them.
Yeah, he was.
Because that's the thing with fashion. It's not. A lot of it's subtle. That was the thing with I didn't even understand when I was looking at Vogue when I was little. Excuse me a second.
Ooh, you should put your pinky up, girl.
I know, right? Oh, excuse me. But in the pages of Vogue, like, the whole point is you never want to be too direct. Like, everything is about sort of the unspoken story of the editorial and like seeing the layers and then going back and seeing even more. I think I put I had a little quote in there that really resonated with me because it was kind of like my experience when I was an adolescent. Quote. When I was an adolescent, Vogue was my inspiration, end quote. And it was true, because I'm like, I don't get this anywhere else in my life. Like this much elevated fashion. And then a lot of the stuff I didn't know how to pronounce. I didn't know what it was. Like a lot of the things, because I was telling you, I read this book when it came out and was rereading it for the podcast and stuff. And you were asking what was different. And I'm like, well, I understand a lot more of the names he was dropping this time around. Because he was dropping some names.
Yo. It was like a name drop festival. Okay. Like, it was the alphabet soup of name dropping. It was everybody was up in there. And I mean, and we're talking about the most prominent names in fashion. Karl Lagerfeld.
And Hollywood.
Yeah, and Hollywood. I mean,
Michelle Obama, Renee Zellweger. He got up next to everybody.
He surely did.
And Halston, Andy Warhol.
Yes.
Another thing he brought up too that I'm like obsessed with is the Battle at Versailles.
I thought about that when I heard him saying that. Refresh the listeners, because maybe they didn't catch that episode.
Oh, excuse me. So the Battle at Versailles was this fundraiser in Paris for the Versailles Palace. If people don't know what that is, it's if you saw a picture of it, you probably recognize it. It's what you think of when you think of French fanciness. Like, it's this sort of art rococo design that is very recognizable, but you might not know where it started. So it's but it was in disrepair. And so there was this woman who, I can't remember her name, but she wanted to get some money to kind of, because it's sort of a World Heritage site a little bit. So she wanted to fix it up. So they were like, okay, let's have the Americans and Europeans kind of like duel it out in a fashion show for charity. And so it was Halston, like Steve Burrows. I can't remember all the different American artists or fashion designers who participated, but what was famous about it is that the Americans brought Black models and they turned them out. And it's just, there's a really good documentary about it, I think on Prime. I don't know where it is. I watched it originally on Prime.
Okay.
But this was before his time. You know, he wasn't traveling to Paris when this happened. It was like right before he kind of got in the game. Because I want to say it was like in maybe 78.
Yeah,
But
I want to
yeah,
say it was in the 70s, like before he was really in the
but a
business.
really good like dramatization of it is Halston on Netflix. They did like a limited series about him, and it really covers a lot of the same players, like Yves Saint Laurent, like all these guys and stuff like that. You kind of get to Victor Hugo. He makes a
Sexy man. He
makes
brings the
an
meats, apparently.
man.
Okay.
He was, I mean, these people were characters. Like,
Yeah, they
it's
really
really
were.
another good one too was the assassination of Gianni Versace.
Ooh.
A lot of stuff where you kind of get into this fashion world, and it's just so much deeper than you realize. Like, do you because they were talking, he mentions The Devil Wears Prada, which was written by one of Anna Wintour's former assistants. And was supposedly, do you remember, did you watch it?
I did.
So I remember watching it and thinking, like, I was on Anna Wintour's side the whole time. Like,
I love how Andre was like, it was not like that. Bitches was not running around with their heads cut off because Anna would not allow it. You better get your shit together. Okay, you better straighten this shit up and do your job. Okay, don't nobody got time for none of that. There was none of that. So
but just the cutthroat nature of the business as well. Like when he was talking about how, like, Karl Lagerfeld, it wasn't nothing to cut a bitch off.
Yeah, man.
Like, Karl let you go on a heartbeat.
Those folks, yeah, I the characters, the cast of characters, well, and just the like staying on top kind of thing, you know, because I mean, he talked about how they were friends for years and years and years, and he saw how like he would just cut people off. It could be for something small or some perceived wrong, and a lot of times, I mean, it wouldn't even be with an explanation. It'd just be like, I'm out, like ghosted on the highest level. And you know, eventually he found himself on the other end of that, you know, and I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, like I think a lot of the time when you're dealing with people over time, you know, you do know that they're capable of certain things, but then you don't think it's going to apply to you. So just I wanted to touch on your point about the Battle of Versailles and just inclusivity and adding Black models and stuff like that. I really liked the editorial that he talked about in that he did in Vanity Fair when he worked with them after he worked for, and he did a spread that was called Scarlet in the Hood.
Oh,
And it
yeah,
featured
with
Naomi Campbell.
Campbell.
And it was supposed to be like an artistic riff on Gone with the Wind and kind of flipping those traditional characters. Like Mammy was like a white man, you know, like and I think he was in the fashion world. Like he even had Manolo Blahnik like with his shoes off, like as a servant. And I love that. I just, you know, I thought that was really dope. So I'm gonna put the article in the, because I found the spread online. Because I was like, let me look this up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
'cause
put
I'd
it
like
in the
to see
notes
that
for you
again.
guys. So like, what did you think about his relationship with Anna Wintour? I feel like that was a huge part of his life and career, and he talked about it at length. Like I feel like, but you know, you just got like the surface scratched of like his maternal relationship, his paternal relationship, his you know, whereas on the other end, like the book that we just read, Kerry Washington's Thicker Than Water, like she spent a lot of time talking about like her parents in depth and their relationship, how they related to each other, how she felt like it directly related to how she processes stuff, all that kind of thing. And whereas, you know, you just don't get a lot. Like I feel like Andre was still very guarded in his book. Like I feel like how you felt at the end of Thicker Than Water, like I still don't. It was just like, so I mean, I know all the fancy people you was around, I know all the cool things you did in your life and stuff, the stuff that was important to you, but it's like, I mean, you know, he had somebody at some point. Like I know, like he was decidedly asexual. Like that's kind of how he presented himself in this book, which I'm not saying is impossible, but like you never even get to hear about any non-platonic relationships he may or may not have had. Not even just a little bit. It was just kind of like really glazed over.
I believe him. The fact he didn't get AIDS kind of proof.
He said it. He was like, well, he said that the fact that he wasn't promiscuous when everybody was, you know, out there in these New York streets in the 80s going ham sandwich, is probably what saved his life. But I'm just saying, like, even as he got older and stuff like that, like I don't know. It would have just been nice to hear. I don't even know how to describe it. Just not even necessarily more about his sex life, but I just felt like I was missing something too, like how you felt about Carrie. Like it was missing that something. It was missing something in that way.
Oh, I didn't miss that.
me.
I believed him. I don't think he really had one. Especially
Yeah.
considering how much work he did. Because that, to me, that was one of the things where I was like, wow, he's probably able to do so much because he didn't have a sex life. Like, that takes a lot.
Well, not even just the sex life. So that's one part of it.
Or
But I'm
just
just
the
saying, like,
romance.
all of his personal relationships in general. Like, I just felt like you were
They
getting
were
like
very
the
surface.
crumbs. Yeah,
But I'm
that's
just saying,
all of
I
it
think
was, maybe.
but I think that's what he said. Like, one of his major regrets in life was that he didn't ever develop like more emotional connections with people. Like, I think that was the extent of it.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
yeah,
So I
like
missed that for him too. I was like, oh yeah, because that would have been
yeah,
nice
I
to
think
see
that's kind of,
some other dimension of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, I did not to say he was one dimensional, but also he did do a lot of philanthropy work. He was working with that school down in Savannah, and they had that art institute, and of course I can't think of the name of it, but he did a lot of work with them and like
oh yeah, because he got
curating.
named the like designer, like Lifetime Achievement Awards with them.
Yes, let me see if I can find it.
Oh, you know what else too? I wanted to watch Funny Face. I've never actually seen that.
I've seen it once, but again, it's like I've never seen it ever. But it was, I remember liking it though.
It's Barbra
With,
Streisand,
Barbra Streisand,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never watched it. I'm like, maybe he said it's the best fashion movie ever. Maybe I should watch it. He's usually right.
It's really good. I mean, she's dressed. She's beautiful in that movie. I was like, oh yeah, I can see why they were obsessed. She just seemed always perfectly put together. It was called SCAD.
What?
And it was the Savannah College of Art and Design. That was the name of it. Yeah. So he was it's a commemorates, like, I want to know if you call it curate, like he curated like the exhibits for them and stuff, and they ended up giving him an honor. And then he was able to present like the Andre Leon Talley Award to certain notable people in fashion. So he was able to bring in these, like big fashion designers to Savannah. Like, I think that was a really big deal, because you don't think Savannah, Georgia, when you think high fashion. So I love that for him, because I feel like that gave him his chance to curate and be at the helm. Like, you get the feeling that like he felt like he was put in a box a little bit, even though he was a trailblazer in a lot of ways. He felt like, well, Anna Wintour only ever saw me in this light. Like, I was never quite able to get to
as
the top.
As dependent as she was on him, like, it was just never that admitting that
part.
And I feel like that was what was interesting too, where you could tell there's a complicated relationship there. And especially given the fact that he does have like kind of a complicated maternal relationship. It was
it's like, I'm just
you can
see
some of that maybe kind of spilling over into that relationship. It's like, well, if you know this woman is cold and not emotionally available, why are you seeking that from her?
Right. And that's what happens when you have these unresolved traumas, because you're working those things out with other people and stuff. And so,
what do you think of her like doing the intervention about his weight?
I mean, I think based on how he portrays her in the book, like, I feel like it was more if you're gonna be around me, I'd rather you be skinny. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know that it was actually like, I mean, I'm sure she, like, I don't want to make it seem like she doesn't care for him. I mean, like, obviously there's something, I guess, but it's not the kind of care that I feel like, I don't know. If superficial is the word that keeps popping up in my mind.
Okay.
Like, it just felt like this is more for you than it is for him, because, he's your big black accessory and he just keeps getting bigger. And it's cute when he was tall and slim, but now that it's like, this is out of fashion, Andre. Like,
that's what it was kind of given to me too, where it just seemed like, okay, if you care about like
an intervention, like, I think she could have just had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think she's capable of having any kind of real like connection like that. But maybe that's because she genuinely didn't care.
Well, and he took her up on it.
He did.
So that's what was kind of interesting too, where it was like, oh, not immediately, but later on when he was like not able to lose the weight on his own and kind of going back and forth, and he was finally like, you know what, I'm a fat guy.
Yeah. Yep. And then I'm wearing a fabulous robe because guess what? I'm going to eat this whole pan of biscuits. Okay.
Like you mentioned, like Manolo, because that was the thing too, where that was just one of my. It was just a very short quote, but when he was talking about they were wearing bespoke Manolo Blahniks, I was like, wow.
That's pretty impressive. I had to look up bespoke because I'm like, I've heard this word so many times, and I think I know what it means, but let me make sure
before he speaks. The soup bespoke.
Yeah, so I was like, it's just super fancy and basically tailored exactly to you.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like
usually it means there's just one of one.
Yeah,
like it's just made, custom made, bespoke. But bespoke sounds way fancier.
It does. I like that a lot.
And I love how he pronounces everything correctly. Like haute couture.
His French. I mean, so like, I feel like this book was pretentious. But also I don't know how this book couldn't be because it's about what it's about.
Yeah, like
there's just no way around it. I don't know that he's trying to be. It's like he couldn't help it. He's like, no, bitch.
Well, he's also
French,
shady
and
too.
I'm very yes. Well, you have to be in this business apparently. All the hoes were shady.
Well, no, but like in the writing, like the stuff, like the little stuff, like he would drop, like he would add little details that weren't necessary except for shade or just mess.
It was fun. That was
fun. It's not a criticism. It's just an observation that I enjoyed. But yes, I was like, yeah, it's okay. Let us know. I'd be like, yeah, they didn't pay for it. Like, ooh.
Thanks for telling us.
Yeah, he definitely lets you know who is who and who is doing what. Oh, this was another quote I liked because when he was working in Paris and one of the little backstabbing chicks started calling him Queen Kong.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That was
that part was like, and he was just like, and one of his like real friends was like, listen, there are many hypocrites in this world. You are loved. And I was like, that was like a really nice thing to put, because it's like, man, you put so much work, like, and then people want to just write you off with like just a casual insult. Like they just
because they can too.
Everything.
They know that they can too, and they know that they'll get a certain audience to join in on that because that's fun and it's bitchy. Just like he'll throw his little stuff, but it's like that kind of stuff is like that's going a little bit. That's a bit much. And they tried to start the rumors that he was sleeping with all of the designers and stuff in Paris, and he ended up going back to New York.
Like he was just a black buck.
Yeah, he was like I'm just out here just serving up the D for everybody. Like that's what I do. Like some kind of.
It's like little do they know.
He's like, I don't even like sex.
Yeah,
it's gross.
Well, and that's the thing. It was kind of sad because he said he was kind of just traumatized from his childhood stuff. Like it just he was never able to find a comfortable way to express that part of himself. Which to me, I agree with you, was probably there. I don't know if he was like truly asexual. I think it was just sort of like a circumstantial kind of thing where the only way he could feel safe was just to not enter that arena.
And then but that's the interesting thing about him to me is that like he took that approach with everything. Like instead of really dealing with any of it, it was just like I'll just
eat a box of Cheez-Its.
Yeah. And I'm
talking about that on Oprah. He was just talking about how like, he's like, I just go home and eat a box of Cheez-Its. It's like, wow.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Whole box. But yeah, so it was just crazy to me to hear how bitchy the world of, not that it's surprising, but I'm like, it's a bunch of bitchy gays. Like it's just, they're just all, and they're fighting over, like, it was wild to me that
hoes.
You say, yes, hoes, pimping.
That's what it all comes down. That's what it all comes down to, doesn't it?
Two of the greatest houses in fashion were quarreling over some French dude.
A boy.
Okay.
A very cute boy.
A cute one. Yves Saint Laurent and Karl Lagerfeld, right? Like they were pissed. Like they were. It's like I'm obsessed.
I feel like Halston, like he had like a little thing too with Yves Saint Laurent.
Okay.
Yeah, like they had their little back and forth stuff too with I think a dude. So yeah, like it's just like with the rappers, they'll just start fighting over hoes.
Beef, right? I'm like, this is crazy. It's beef everywhere.
It is.
So I don't know, man. I just was
I blame testosterone.
Yeah, but you gotta have it.
You do, but I can blame it.
But you can blame it. I don't know. That was just like shocking to me. I was like, this is. I mean, but I guess at the same time, I should. It's like, of course, this is what's like it comes
like these
down to
grown men. But it was kind of sad when one of the guys, Jacques. He ended up, because that was the thing too, because like I said, he kind of just scratched the surface of everything, because it was, for a memoir, it was pretty short, especially for someone who lives, like, of course he didn't write it right up until he died. I think when he wrote it, he would have been in the 60s,
late 60s.
Yeah, like, it was, to me, it definitely, even though he is a professional writer and he's a very good writer, I think it could have benefited from a pass from a ghostwriter.
Thank you. That's the part I was waiting for, because I felt like more than Carrie's book in a way. Because
yeah, she's younger, so it makes sense. Because both of their books are about the same length.
And it's just in the vein of, like you saying, like, maybe a ghostwriter pushes you to a little bit more in certain areas, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just to make sure that you're hitting all the points, though. But I could not argue that he's not an artful writer. Like you said, I mean, the way he describes stuff, I mean, you can see it. You're like, okay, I'm there. I pictured it. Like, I'm wearing it now. Like, but yeah, I definitely agree. A ghostwriter could have been. Damn near everybody probably needs a ghostwriter. Like, if you're not a handful of writers, you probably need somebody kind of like right there, like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah. But here's the other thing too, that comes out of the budget.
Yeah, it does. I don't want to pay you.
I got the feeling when he originally wrote the book, it was for money. Because he was having financial issues. I think the home he had bought his grandmother, that he was and his grandmother passed like a year after he bought her the home, but he kept it. But I think at a certain point it went into foreclosure or something. So yeah, I think there was something going on there. But still, overall, I thought it was pretty good. There's another part too where he was talking about Bianca Jagger, because that was also just such a moment when he was talking about like Studio 54 and like partying with all the people there and stuff like that. And for like, I don't know if you know this, like Bianca was such a huge deal. Like, one of our good friends, like she was named after, like her middle name is Bianca, and after Bianca Jagger.
It was because of that?
Yeah, she was named after Bianca Jagger.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even be able to pick out her in the lineup.
Oh man,
Bianca Jagger. I don't know.
When she married Mick Jagger, that was such a huge deal, because I feel like Halston was involved somehow. Like, if he wasn't designing her gown, he was somehow involved. It was a big deal. But she was, she was very beautiful. It was just, she was the it girl. Like, she was just that girl. I think she like rode into Studio 54 on a horse. Like, it was.
Was necessary? Was she high? The fuck?
Maybe. I mean, it was the 70s.
All right. Oh, she's Nicaraguan.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Let's go.
Once again,
these are older pictures, right? Okay, so.
But it was just such a huge deal because she was the woman who got Mick Jagger to settle down. Okay,
I see. Oh, yeah. I think that would be my main critique. Is just like everything was very surfacey, and again, I respect the choice to do that, because at the end of the day, I mean, like, it's your story, so you get to tell it how you want and you get to disclose what you want. He seemed like such a vibe, though, and it makes me feel sad that I feel like a lot of his life, like there wasn't closure for him.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. You can't have everything, or even if you do, you can't have it all at once. So I think the fact that he had all these extraordinary experiences with all of these like amazing people, I don't know, like, was that the sacrifice, like, for greatness? Like, you have to sacrifice for greatness.
I do think that a lot of times with greatness, your interpersonal relationships do suffer. So that's not super surprising at all. And I think if he probably, I don't know, like, I have a feeling that he basically lived the life that he wanted to have anyway. You know what I'm saying? More than he did like, I hope that they really memorialize him in a way
He
that's
was
like
so
just as fabulous as he was.
sumptuous.
He really was.
So
Sumptuous is
yeah,
a fun word. I want to be called that.
you're sumptuous.
Thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
doesn't feel the same.
I know. I just called someone else sumptuous first. I'll bring it up
Yeah.
randomly.
Thank you. And
The
I'll
next
forget,
time-
so it'll
the
be like,
next
oh my
time.
God.
But you have to be being sumptuous. So the
Ooh
next
la
time you're being
la.
sumptuous,
How? Tell me
I'll
how.
lightly bring it up.
I need a cape. I'm looking around like, is there one here?
Do I have a cape?
Mom, I need a
could
cape that
probably
matches
get a
my
cape.
fascinator, Mom. Mom,
Get
make
to
me
it.
a cape.
Chop chop. Ooh, a feather cape would be amazing.
A feather.
that would be
I would love
fitting
a
for
feather cape.
Bianca
I'm
Jagger.
into capes. I really do. I love a nice
I love
high
a cape.
low. Let's talk favorite look. Like, I think one of my favorite like fancy looks is
Oh.
always like short in the front, long in the back. Love it.
Okay.
Really love that. Love when the
For
cape
that
can come
coverage.
off.
Because it's
For
all
the
the benefits of
coverage.
a mini without worrying about bending over. One of my favorite looks, like if I'm going for drama, and especially because I'm a smaller chested individual, is
Mhm.
having my back out. Because that's a
Mhm.
way to, I feel like, bring drama, elegance, sexiness, but not too much, because I can't create cleavage.
I love backless looks. I always have. And there's just something about like the dip in your lower back and like the back. Women's backs are beautiful. Like
Yeah.
it's a nice, like it's a nice silhouette.
It's a nice
and it's very
area.
feminine. It is. It's a nice area, and
Yeah.
I concur. I like that. I'm trying to think of the So give me some of your like top. Like there's some iconic fashion moments in the past, like where
Oh,
it's
I've
like,
got some.
oh. So yeah, tell me, what are some faves?
Naomi
Bring 'em up.
Campbell's Louis Vuitton spread for the Murakami collection when she's on the sand dunes.
Ooh.
To me, that is I don't know who styled it. I don't know who shot it, but I do know that is like one of the best moments in fashion. I remember seeing that layout in Vogue and just being completely like whoa. And I mean, I've seen a lot of, campaigns with Naomi Campbell. She's always been iconic, but that to me was like, okay, she did that. Did you find it?
She has
It's
a
like
gold.
gold. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
geez, I've never seen this in my life.
I've never stopped seeing it from the moment I saw
Oh my
it.
God, that is beautiful. I love
Yeah.
everything about this.
Yeah. Like it's absolute perfection.
Wowzers.
Yeah. On top of everything else, it's just a
Wow.
beautifully shot scene. And that was probably
Wow.
my favorite collab Louis Vuitton ever did.
Let's go.
I feel like that was definitely a
Damn.
fave.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't have anyone's from the magazine. Just speaking of Louis Vuitton, like I liked a lot of Virgil Abloh stuff.
Talk about that.
He
Oh,
had
wait.
quite the eye.
I'm sorry. How did we not mention this? The very beginning of the book is talking about La Reina, Beyonce Carter. Like that's how the book. La Reina. That's the queen in Spanish.
Okay. I was like, who?
I'm sorry. I switched over languages.
Why would you do this?
Our queen. Like,
Okay.
because do you remember when she was on the cover of Vogue and was like basically the guest editor for that I remember buying
the
that
flowers.
episode. Yes.
I do remember that.
He goes through meticulous detail, and he was giving all the different layers of history that was going into these images. Oh, because this isn't a quote, but this is something that this is a catism. A friend of mine said she's going to start writing down some of the things I say and call them she was going to call it catechisms, but which I thought that was cool. I know, but with a K. But then
you have to say it though. Catechism.
You do.
K.
But catisms. And this is just me. Quote: I prefer visual communication because it's more honest than verbal communication. End quote. And I think for me, like Vogue was that visual communication where I was like, wow, I don't even understand this language all the way, but I know I like it. Kind of like when I heard French. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I like it. And that's the thing too, because when you start studying fashion, you have to learn some French, and then it makes you want to learn more French.
Listen, I definitely never learned French. Honestly, I think my first time really being exposed to like designer stuff was probably, or really recognizing it, because I mean, I grew up not with a lot of resources. So name brand stuff, it was like was like sportswear type shit. It wasn't anything like high fashion that I knew about, other than like a Coogee sweater or some shit like that. Yeah, like it would be more what they would say is urban fashion. That kind of stuff, which I also didn't really have unless like I saved up my Christmas money for a purple Carl Klein jacket that I loved. So certain pieces and stuff, but it was very like it wasn't high fashion. And so I think the first time I went to Chicago, I think as an 8th grader, we went to like a department store or something, and it was like DKNY, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I had no idea what Donna Karan New York. Like, I had no idea, darling. I live in a flower
I knew
state.
that. I knew from Vogue, because man,
that's what I'm saying. I wasn't the fashion
spreads
girl.
were deep.
Yeah, so I just didn't know. And I mean, I had probably seen that before, but I never knew. Like, I finally asked somebody, like, well, what is it? What is that? It's everywhere. Well, I feel like I should care about this because it's everywhere.
In block letters.
Yeah, huge block letters. So I just... even though I always loved looking at magazines and going through and enjoyed them, I was never like, see, I'm surfacey like him. I guess with this, like, I saw it and was like, that was nice. And I love that, but I don't feel like I thought it was something that I was gonna have access to. So it was like, what am I getting my pennies all in a bunch for? I can't even get no, you know what I mean? I'm not even getting the regular name brand shit. So
it was so crazy. I always knew, like, even before I could afford it, or I just like, I love this so hard. I
need this in my life.
I need it in my life, and I'm like, I'll buy the fake one until I can get the real one.
Man,
because I remember I had some off-brand Chanel stuff, or just not off-brand. It was just knockoff Chanel stuff in high school, because I wanted to look like Naomi
in high school. Jeez,
yes.
Louise. I didn't start buying knockoff stuff until my early 20s.
It wasn't a straight knockoff. Like, there weren't little C's on the button, but it was obviously like cut to look like
sure.
The little,
they do that now with fast fashion and stuff.
Of course, that's what H&M is for. Man, especially the Chicago H&M. I'd have been like, oh, I'm like, this looks like the new Tom Ford line.
My God, because you were always really good for being like, oh, this looks like the this or that. I'm like, I just know what I like when I see it. You know what I mean?
Listen, I like the fact that he multiple times mentions like Versailles and sort of like Louis the 14th, 15th, and 16th, because it was sort of insane, like stylistic, like the court. It's so hard to explain like that point in time, but just how fashion spoke volumes. And then I think there was maybe one of the king's mistresses who was trying to outdo Marie Antoinette, because Marie Antoinette came to the French court and kind of was like, they weren't expecting much from this Austrian princess, but she was like, no, cute. Y'all are doing cute. I got that. I got cute.
I know that's right. It's like, that's my
favorite. And so she was doing those like big, the big wigs with the bows and like, this kind of Rococo style that, became famous. And, the French are like, it's cute. I love it. And then I can't remember the woman's name, but she was like, she's got money and she was trying to outdo her. So she just did head to toe. It was just like super extravagant. And everyone was just kind of like, oh, you're trying. That's
too
so
hard.
cute.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if you pour tons of money into it if you don't have style.
All right, y'all, let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back, you guys, from the break. Kat is, oh my goodness, she's about to faint. Oh my goodness, somebody's fan that
all
day.
The fashion.
It is, my goodness, just blinded by the fashion lady. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what a ride, man. This book, I feel like it wasn't like a narrative where we had to do like a breakdown. So I feel like we went.
No, this was just a man's fashionable life.
It was. And
That
fashionable
was an
it was.
inspiration.
I mean, do you aspire to be as fashionable as him?
No, I don't think anybody could be, but I do aspire to put that much passion. I felt like I could feel his passion through this book for his work. And I feel like I have directly benefited from his work before I even knew who he was. When I finally discovered who he was and what he did, it kind of clicked into place, like why so much of Vogue spoke to me.
Because he was
I
that
think
silent voice. Like, that is kind of a beautiful thing where you can be a voice in the room that's not the loudest voice, but like you said, you can still hear the song being sung, you can still hear the story, and so that is kind of
yeah.
dope. That's
Oh, this
nice.
was another thing too. When he was talking about Galliano
Oh yeah.
and his work. And once again, he only had time because there's so many stories. He just touched on it really quickly. I felt like that could have been a whole book in itself. But I do remember seeing his work, Galliano's work with Dior when he was their creative director. Though it was like so beautiful. Like when I remember
You were
when I
almost
first started,
at a loss for words right there.
because beautiful is such a small word for what he's done. Like that's some of my favorite art.
Really?
Yeah, like the stuff that he did when he was working for, and it's tragic that, I mean, of course he's still working and it's fine, but like he, his own inner demons and struggles and like substance abuse and stuff like that. He's it's just a shame that, well, once again, I'm just happy he survived it, because usually people who go through that kind of stuff, they don't even live through it.
Yeah, that's true though.
But who do you think would enjoy the book?
You know what? I think if you are into fashion, if you are that girl who had the Vogue magazines and really, really kind of get into fashion, you will totally enjoy this, because he's name dropping left and right. He's going to mention literally every designer house that you can think of that is a brand that anybody wants to be a part of, from Fendi to Chanel to Yves Saint Laurent to Givenchy, all of the fanciness. I also think if you so I feel like I contradicted myself before, because I was saying, I really wished that we heard more about his personal life, but so many times people's personal lives will eclipse their work sometimes, especially now, where like people are way more interested in, who you are sleeping with and what you're doing on the side. And that it takes away from that. So I am glad that like his personal life wasn't so big, because I don't like to see stuff where it's like if they only want to talk about like the fact that his house went into foreclosure. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that, to make it seem like that erases all of the wonderful things he did. So again, I still would like to have had a little bit of a balance, and maybe that would have been the ghostwriter. So that's kind of moving into what I would have enjoyed seeing more, but definitely overall a super enjoyable book. I don't think you'd like this. This could be a little too she and pretentious for somebody who's just not into fashion. Like, don't read this book if you don't give a damn about none of that stuff, because you're gonna be bored to tears.
Yeah,
you're gonna die.
Strong
It's
agree.
Like absolutely not.
That's all it is, because that's all that his life was.
That's it. And so that's what you're getting, with sprinkles of church.
Yeah, that would be like trying to read Michael Jackson's memoir, not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan's memoir, and there's like no basketball in it.
Yeah, it would be like that. So if you hate basketball, that could just ruin the
right.
It's like, oh my God, fourth quarter again. Jeez. So
Jeez Louise.
Jeez.
Because we like the narrative that people like. A lot of times when we think of Vogue, people immediately think of Anna Wintour, which makes sense. But,
or you don't think of anybody at all. You think about skinny white models. Like, I wouldn't even have been able to come up with that lady's name, because I never knew that that's who that was. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
Yeah.
Anna Wintour is usually what comes to mind a lot of times, but no one does anything alone, especially anything great. So when we're talking about these designers, there's, I think, legions of unnamed, hardworking people who also collaborated to make these visions, these fashion fantasies happen.
Right.
So I like that when he's filling in sort of those dots, you get to see, like, when he was talking about like all the editors at Vogue, like, you know, like, this is a huge undertaking, and I would like to say thank you. Like, Vogue has meant so much to me. I don't have a subscription anymore, but I still buy the September Vogue every year. It's just one of my favorite arts.
That's what's up, man. I like that. Who do you think, so is there anybody you want to add to the who you think would like and versus not like?
No, I think you nailed that.
Nailed that one. Okay, cool. I'm trying to think. Just my overall impression would just be like, I'm thankful for the representation. I'm glad that his voice was in there, and I think the legacy he leaves behind is like a lot of his passion. Like, it just goes to show, you know, and I wish I could find this quote, because of course I didn't write it down. It was toward the beginning of the book, but you know, he was just commenting on the fact that, like, when you really want to do something, just know your shit. Like, know your shit and be persistent. Like, live that shit. Like, get in there and do it, because they can't stop you. And I just love that. That was cult leader confidence. It was beautiful. Sure. And so I love that. And he embodied that. And that's what I think of when I think about him. He was just larger than life, and, you know, just a beautiful character. It was really fun to hear, you know, be on that journey with him. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rate the book. I'm gonna give it 4 Louis Vuitton trunks with his capes in them.
Okay, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 for me. I don't know what, I didn't think of anything clever. I'm just gonna say capes. We'll stick with capes. 5 out of 5 capes. Why not?
Capes are fab.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, good times. I feel really inspired though to be like, I honestly wish, like, I think if I had money, I would love to have, like,
you have money,
custom I'm talking about
couture money, like Crazy Rich Asians money.
Yeah. Like, I totally would have. I mean, my clothes would be bespoke.
I would maybe for occasions.
I would love that.
I think I don't know though, but like, yeah, if I could afford to just have all of my everything bespoke, that probably would just be like it'd be an everyday thing.
It's like Christmas every day. It's like I can look as good as possible every single day and feel as good as possible in my clothes. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if we're out here with cult leader confidence claiming the shit we want, I wouldn't mind.
But we do have an opportunity for fashion this weekend at the Connect Create collab event, because we know that Lativa and Starla always bring the fashion.
They sure do.
So we're already coordinating. We don't have final looks yet, but we're definitely coordinating looks for that. And it is fun. I appreciate you being my fun fashion friend.
Yes, friend. It is so fun. We do like a look.
It is fun.
Yay, fashion's fun, you guys.
Yes.
It's something you can do, like, even just like I said, I was tired and all that stuff. And honestly, the lipstick, like the fascinator, the earrings, like, it brought me up a little. You know, I noticed that when I'm not feeling my best, I will tend to doll myself up a little bit more just to kind of make up for what I feel like I might be lacking. And otherwise a sparkly personality.
It's one of my favorite, I don't know whose quote, it'll say it was Chanel, who knows. Life isn't perfect, but your outfit can be.
It just can. It just can.
And style can, like, it just opens doors.
It does. People like it.
If you walk with confidence and are well dressed, you can get a lot of places, especially if you're male.
Yeah, well dressed people tend to do well. So dress for the job you want. They say all those things. You know all the sayings, guys.
You can be anything you want as long as you dress for it.
That's right.
No one would listen to the Pope if you wore a tracksuit.
It'd be harder to hear his message. That's true. Yeah. Absolutely.
If he just came up to the balcony with a bathrobe on.
Yeah,
be like, we're doing casual mass today. No one's
like, nah, we need the priestly robes. We bring that back.
You better get an ephod and get to work.
Ephod? Is that what it's called?
I think one of the, like, little vests are called that. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't get me
work,
started on
nothing.
papal regalia. I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
There
please
is
don't.
like, but you want to talk about
But here
fashion.
you go. Here you go.
But,
though.
but
You
I'm
said
just
don't
saying
get
it's
too started.
fascinating because there is like rules about what he's allowed to wear and when.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't there
amazing.
be? Hello.
Regalia. Yeah. That's just part of the things. But yes,
It's super
I'm sorry.
fancy.
On with the show.
No, that was good. We might have to have a whole separate episode on that, though. Religious fashion.
Papal regalia. It matters.
Okay. So you guys, I think we're gonna spin the wheel before we get out of here. So spin it.
Ooh, okay, so we're re-announcing this. Thank you, Wheel. We needed a reminder. We're going to be reading Janet Savage's Jay Gatsby, A Black Man in White Face. Fascinating.
Just like my
Fascinator.
part hat. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get into that, and I think that there might be a fashion element to that. Who knows?
Ooh, I hope so. I'm looking around.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I'm just gonna announce it because she's already confirmed and she's a pretty reliable booking. But we're gonna be joined by Ebony Chappelle.
Yay!
And she's always one for fashion as well.
Yes.
So I always know, like, if I'm gonna see Ebony, I'm gonna see a look.
She gonna be cute. I know. It's so fun. I do like it. It is one of my favorite ways to express art and stuff like that. And so it might not be rooted in the fanciness of Vogue all the time, but it's still fun. And I think that's the other part too. Like, it doesn't have to be like.
Well, and the thing is, like, it spreads out. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly what you see in Vogue, but it influences everything. So
it's like a recipe.
If you're not directly getting it from the source, you're still getting it. You're gonna get these looks. Anna Wintour is controlling you whether you know it or not.
Oh man,
she's got her hands on the strings, y'all.
She's out
dance,
here,
puppets, dance.
Yes, y'all out here buying these. Listen, you already know. So yes, I'm looking forward to talking with Miss Ebony. This book is gonna be fun too. So yeah, lots to look forward to, you guys. Hopefully, you guys have a good week coming up. Whenever it is that you're listening to this. Take care of yourselves and do stuff that you like. Dress up. You know, it can make you feel
because
better.
your body belongs to you.
It does.
So put some fashion on it.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna do that thing. So you guys will see you next time. And peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music, and legal services were handled by Trezene M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers. Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.